Okay. Okay, I see it now. Okay, good. Thank you. Hi, Katie.
Hello there, Fia.
Katie, do you want to just check if you can share screen quickly? Sorry, we just had a technical glitch. I just want to sort out with TMC that we are sure that people can join. Did you have any problems joining?
No, we just went into the waiting room and
Okay.
then you let us in.
Okay, all right. Okay. Hi, TMC. Can you just send this meeting link again to everybody who has registered or to everybody that you've sent a reminder to? That might be a better option. Just say this meeting is open now. Go to the reminder and just say this meeting is open now. Join us here and send the link so that in case there is a problem with the link that we preempt that problem. Okay.
Fia, I can't share screen though. I'm going to ask, can you let Edzai? Have you asked to be let in, Edzai? Oh, you're in.
People. Okay.
Yeah, we can't share screen.
Edzai is not, can you make Katie a co-host?
You're on mute, Tamsy. Hi.
Katie, can you? Okay,
I've made Katie a
presenter.
presenter. Can you
Okay.
speak?
Nikki
Katie,
has
able
been
to
let in
test?
early, and Kelly. There are
Sorry.
a couple of people who've been let in already, organizers, but that's fine.
Sorry.
They're members, so it's fine. You can listen to us trying to get everything organized. So
No, I actually just want to be here to check. Can you hear me?
perfect,
Yes, we
perfect.
can.
Oh yeah, because last time I was on Teams, no one could hear a word. So thanks. I'm gonna
Okay.
just
You
like
know what?
hang
There
around.
was a challenge. Yeah, that last meeting, it was a challenge because people were chucked out the meeting. Some
Okay.
were and some weren't. It was the weirdest.
Yeah.
There was some technology glitch there. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry,
I'm gonna...
Katie, I don't see Edzai yet.
He is in. I've just checked his screen. He's in the lobby.
Okay. All right.
He's not showing in the lobby.
No, I don't see him in the lobby.
He's gonna leave and come back. Hold on a second.
Yeah,
And then
said-
once he's in, could you just make him a co-host as well or co-presenter?
Yeah, I had a problem joining. I've asked Louise, I've asked TMC to just email everybody again with
everybody's
the link.
joining. Okay.
Okay, the link seems to be
Hi,
working
Jill.
for you.
That's right. Hi, Jill. Okay. Hi, Zoe.
Hi, everybody. We're just
Hi.
waiting
Hi.
for all the presenters to join. Thanks for joining. Just give us a minute.
No
It's still a minute before 11. So we've just, people are trickling in and we're just checking out the technical issues.
Okay, Edzai has rejoined.
Still not
I don't
showing
see
in the waiting room.
I don't see him in the waiting room now.
You sure he's got the right link?
I'm gonna recheck that.
Okay.
It is the one from Nomatemba.
Okay, there's Tabang.
Hi,
Hi,
Tabang.
Tabang.
Morning. Morning. Just you're obviously in a warmer place than Cape Town with your short sleeves. Hey. You're on mute, Tabang. So yeah. Still on mute. You can do sign language.
Can you hear me now?
No,
Yes.
now we can hear
There we
you.
go.
Thank
I was
you.
saying hi to everybody. I was
Thank
saying
you.
I'm just in a warm office rather than in a
Okay.
in a warm Joburg. It's
Um,
not the case, I assure you.
Okay. I'm in a very
Okay.
cold house, so okay. We just morning, Kelly and Tony. Please just give us a minute. We just waiting for a presenter who's struggling to get in, but we will be ready in a minute, and we're also expecting quite a few more people, but I know it's just gone. So let's.
Katie, sorry, Katie, I'm posting that link in the chat for Itzai. Sorry,
go
Louise, we're just waiting for Itzai.
I just posted the link right now.
Yeah, I think we both did it.
It's just an AI that's waiting in the lobby, which is not just.
No.
I don't see anyone else besides the AI meeting note reader.
Okay.
Sorry for those who've joined. If you can just give us 2 more minutes to sort this out, and then we'll kick off here.
Okay. I've just. Okay.
I still don't see. Oh, there he is now.
He's here.
Okay, wonderful. All right.
Okay, I've also made him a presenter.
Good. Okay, Louise, do you want to start off, or do you want me to start off?
I'm going to hand over to you, Fia. So
Okay.
sorry about a bit of a tricky start, but over to you, Fia, just to introduce the speakers. Yeah, and we'll get people. I know there's quite a few more people trickling in. So, but I think in the interest of time, it's 2 minutes past 11. So over to you, Fia.
Yes, let's go. Thank you, everybody, and we're really excited about this workshop. We have this series as part of our Transforming Funding Practice workshops. We previously called it Grantcraft, but then we changed the name because there's such a lot of transformation going on in the philanthropy sector that we thought that the Grantcraft name was just no longer applicable. So we are really delighted that we can have this series that focuses on communications in philanthropy, because we are operating in an environment in a very exciting period, but there's also a lot of challenges. I mean, on the back of calls for philanthropy to be more transparent, to shift power, to address root causes of issues, and of the very complex problems that we are dealing with, and for funders to start to catalyze systems change. We also had a radical change in the funding landscape, and philanthropy has to come to grips with all of this. And then the question arises, if our grant making changes, if the way we think about our funding changes, what does it mean for our communications and our marketing? And I think we had very strong messages in the first workshop about the importance of more transparency, building more trust, reaching the right people, finding those you want to collaborate with, and finding those with proven success in the sector, but also stimulating innovation. So it's a really tall order. And then on top of all of this, if you think back about how much you engaged with AI a year ago and how much you're engaging with it now, I mean, it is just a vastly different landscape that we are all working in. And today we are going to look at AI tools for marketing and communications. And we have Itzai Zvobo here. He's the founder and CEO of Analytica. And I'm going to leave the more thorough introduction to Katie and Tabang. I don't know whom of you will be introducing Itzai. But the exciting thing about this series is that we have direct access to superb industry experts to walk us through thinking and practical examples on this. So we are really grateful to the NADA Foundation for supporting this, together with Weber Shandwick Africa. And yeah, we are looking forward to this session. Over to you, Katie.
Thank you, Fia, and welcome to everybody in our second workshop of our 3-part series. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into practical AI tools for funders. And I hope that you all had a chance to read Edzai's bio, but I'm just going to say from personal experience of having worked with Edzai over the last year, he's truly opened up a world of possibilities for us as a business and as individuals to make not only life smarter, more efficient, but scalable beyond what we'd ever previously hoped to achieve or even comprehend. And while we completely understand that not everyone has access to an Edzai, we do have access to a plethora of tools which Edzai is going to take us through. One in particular that he developed in the most astonishing time, and he is going to use that as a practical example in this session. But before we begin, I'm just going to hand over to Thabang to just give a short little intro, and then we will take the deep dive into Edzai's world, which he's going to open all of you up to as well. So over to you, T.
Wonderful. Can everyone hear me? Sound good? Okay, great. Firstly, good morning, everyone, and thank you to the team at Ipasa, Fia, Nomathemba, and Louise, and all of the members as well. Thank you for joining us this morning. It is wonderful to see you all again. When we were together in June, we spoke about the importance of communication in philanthropy, and I shared a thought that I just want to repeat and re-emphasize. And I think Fia touched on it a lot more eloquently, but I just wanted to put it out there that communication, again, is not about making people notice you. And I know that it's something that we struggle with in the philanthropy sector, that we think that marketing and communications is about being, bragging about what you've done and that sort of thing. But it's not. It's about making sure the people who need you, who want you, and who fund you can actually find you. They need to understand who you are. They need to trust you, and they need to support you. And then ultimately, they need to benefit from your work. And it doesn't matter who they are over that spectrum of stakeholders. So over the past few weeks, I hope the idea of communication has lingered in terms of how modern philanthropy has changed. The challenges we face are far bigger in today's world. Competition for funding is greater. But interestingly enough, and this is the world that we live in from a communications point of view, is that attention has become the most scarce resource in the world. The number of platforms and communication tools and et cetera that people, just look at social media and the number of social media platforms there are, but then also the content that's on those social media platforms and what you choose to see or not see. And so this scarce resource is becoming even more scarce, and reaching people and communicating with people becomes even more difficult, especially because they are starved of the capacity or the time for attention, especially yourselves. So technology is advancing faster than any of us ever imagined. And one truth has become increasingly clear. Communication changes outcomes. And I know that it's something that a lot of people don't believe in, but I'm going to repeat that over and over again, that communication changes outcomes, because if done right, it determines whether people discover your work, whether they believe in it, whether they choose to invest in it, and whether your impact reaches the scale that your mission deserves. So today is about the next step in that journey. It's about how AI, digital marketing, and communication tools can help us become more effective, not by replacing the humanity of philanthropy, but by amplifying it. Technology will never replace purpose, but it can dramatically increase the reach of purpose. It can help us tell better stories, it can help us build deeper relationships, engage more supporters, demonstrate our impact more clearly, and operate more efficiently than ever before. Most importantly, it can help us scale philanthropy, especially in ways that we have never seen before. And that will require a shift in mindset. Today, I have absolutely no doubt that because you're in the room, you're preparing yourself for a shift in mindset. But today, you're going to be exposed to one of the greatest minds in AI in Africa, if not in the world. And he's going to take you through some of the tools that have been created and These tools, by the way, are commercially and in the private sector actually usable and applicable, and we've actually proven that because he's done it in our business. But he's done it in a way that we cannot ignore, both from a business point of view, but the opportunity to take that into purpose is so great. So communication should no longer be viewed as an overhead or as an optional extra. They're an investment in impact. Likewise, engaging with the private sector should not simply be about asking for funding. It should be about building the partnerships that combine purpose, capability, and innovation to create greater social outcomes. And if we are really serious about changing lives, then we must be equally serious about changing how we communicate those lives. So today's session is a practical one. Edzai is going to demonstrate the tools, techniques, and technologies that are available right now to help you and your organizations work smarter, communicate better, and create even greater impact. At the same time, I encourage you to be curious, ask questions, and imagine what becomes possible when your mission is matched by your ability to communicate it at scale. So thank you for your time. Wishing you all well. I hope this is a fantastic session. All the best. Thank you.
Thanks, Thabang. While we are getting the slides on the screen, I'm wondering whether we can just maybe see Edzai
Yes,
camera. There you are.
nice.
Welcome.
Hi, Fia. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. And we are really looking forward to this.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. No, thank you for having me. Thanks to Nahana Foundation and IPASA for the opportunity to share around AI in the philanthropy world. As Katie said, I come from a math background, technology building, software in the fintech space, gaming space, and I've been dabbling in AI for the better part of the last 10 years or so. All the mutations from data science, machine learning to AI, its applications across industries. So today we're going to be talking just as a continuation to what Larry laid the foundation for us last time around philanthropy, marketing, messaging, and being able to fully utilize the technology such that we have the greatest impact in our work and everything we do. So I have played around with the idea of Ubuntu as a basis, as a philosophy for this talk. And that's the same philosophy that I've used to build the tool that we're going to use. So instead of me talking for the whole session, I've made it in such a way that, okay, I'm going to set the ground with the presentation, and then we are all going to actually get onto the tool and use the tool. So you'll find a lot of people are being exposed to AI, but the problem is that they are not ready to use AI to maximize their impact and productivity. So you find that we have an AI fluency crisis, which is supposed to be the foundation of any AI implementation or AI intervention or any productivity gains that we are supposed to get. So AI fluency is something that I'm going to literally zone in, and I'm going to use a model, a framework that was developed by Anthropic, the makers of Claude. So far, they are exhibiting traits as the most responsible foundational model because they have a constitution that is pushing towards fairness, towards responsible use, Yes, I know some can argue that it's a marketing method that they're using, fear mongering, but at the same time, they are sparking good conversations that we should be a part of. So I have said I am heard because we are. So it's just a play on the Ubuntu. I am because we are, right? So that is the topic that we're going to be looking at. Okay, so now, before we go anywhere, right, you'll find that if you go into any LLM, that is a large language model, you'll find that it's mostly grounded on information that was readily available in public spaces on the internet. So that is the corpus of data that it learned on, right? So it learned on things that was online. But now you find that already there was an asymmetry in terms of availability of information from the Western perspective to the global South. So already the foundation of AI had inherent biases by virtue of availability of information. So that means that for us to have AI that represents us, we have to participate and be part of the solution to make sure that this technology understands who we are, our aspirations, where we want to get to, and our point of view and perspective on life. Because we might be looking at the same thing as unemployment as a problem, for example. But you find that the perspective that the global South is going to have on unemployment compared to the Western Hemisphere is totally different. Now, it takes me back to the fundamental idea of uh, who or what was AI made for, right? In its current configuration. You find that in the Western Hemisphere right now, they have an aging problem. They don't have enough, they have an inverted pyramid where they have more elderly people than younger people, and their workforce is dwindling. So it means that it's in their interest to create ways to augment or replace the workforce and be able to maintain or even improve productivity. So that is an economic incentive that is very vital for them, and it makes sense from their perspective. But then if you come to the global South, you realize that we have an opposite problem where the pyramid is fat at the bottom, where we have more younger people that are unemployed. So that means that we should be asking ourselves fundamental questions to say, the current configuration of AI, its objectives, its successes, does it solve unemployment or does it make it worse? So the same instrument, but fashioned differently for the reality that we are in. So that is something that is fundamental. And then the second thing that I want to lay before I move on to the experiments that you see on the slide is that the AI that you see, right, large language models, came out of the school of thought that was trying to mimic the brain through neural networks, and they used language as a proxy for intelligence. And this is an offshoot of what was known as natural language processing, NLP, which was a precursor to large language models. But you find that there were so many types of AIs that were there, right? And there were many schools of thoughts. But then LLMs got a lot of funding, got a lot of press, and they managed to take over, right? After the 2017 seminal paper that was written out of Google, you can Google it. It's called Attention is All You Need. So that paper was the one that gave birth to transformer models and gave birth to ChatGPT, Claude, and others, large language models that you see today. So not the best type of AI, one, right? But the one that was fundable, the one that was scalable, and scalable from the perspective of Silicon Valley. Scalable and profitable from a VC lens, right? Because you find that for them, understanding the way that the human brain understands is secondary, as long as the output from an input looks coherent, that is fine, right? And obviously, as we are progressing, it's learning and improving, but it is not like our brain, because our brain uses low energy. Our brain understands causality to a certain extent, right? We know that A caused B and B did not cause A. So we know the causal links between things, and that is how we understand the world. But then you find that with large language models, they were created from deep learning, and deep learning is actually a correlation at scale. So those of you who've been to business school, you'll know that the most famous statement that professors love to say is correlation does not imply causation. And it is true. So it means that what we have done is we have created this statistical machine that can operate at scale that is billions of words or tokens, right? And it can pattern match very well. And then it uses probability to be able to generate text, video, image, and stuff like that. And then for us, that's amazing because it's got a utility function and it has worked for us, which is great. So it means now that people like Judea Pearl, who's a professor at UCLA, if I'm not mistaken, who wrote this book called The Book of Why, right? And he's the founder and inventor of what are known as Bayesian belief networks. He was on the symbolic AI side, where we're saying we need to understand the underlying mechanisms of things in order to be able to understand it. As long as we don't understand the underlying mechanism like causality, then we'll never truly understand the world. So that is where now you find that AI is now requiring a lot of energy. It's now requiring a lot of capital, a lot of water, but to what end? Because we cannot provide this infinitely. So it means that that's where now those with the purse, those with the money, can actually direct funding and research towards things that help solve this scalability issue that AI is facing right now. They're talking of putting data centers in space now because they are chasing something that is asymptotic, literally that as you're getting closer to it, it gets further because the fundamentals were not correct. So now there's a professor at New York University called Gary Marcus. Him and others are proposing something called neurosymbolic AI. Neurosymbolic AI is basically taking the LLMs and the neural networks and taking symbolic AI that understands and putting it together such that you have an ontological basis that is strong and there's an understanding from a foundational perspective. So that is something that we hope that the big foundational models will be able to actually take on and be able to have an AI that is really smart, right? Because currently it's a statistical machine. So now, given that it's a statistical machine, there are things that we can give AI to do, and there are things that we should never let AI do. And we have to be able to decipher and discern and filter marketing messages versus reality. That is important. So now, going back to my slides, you'll see that this is an experiment I did a few weeks ago, but I did it so many times that maybe now the response is actually better than when I first did it. I said, who funds social change in South Africa, right? I asked Claude, I asked ChatGPT, and most of the answers were referencing the big funders from the West that are global, or they were getting it wrong altogether. They were actually making up funders that don't exist. So that means that we have a visibility problem, because right now, if you search that, the people on the call should be the first ones that are surfacing. I tested it again today before the session. I was like, okay, let me ask, who funds social change in South Africa? And I saw Shikululu was the top one. And then also there was some reference to Western global funders. So that means that Shikululu has done something about their search engine optimization, or because I think by their very nature, they collate different funding mechanisms and organizations. So they might have scale in terms of presence online by the very nature of their construction. So it means that now, as stakeholders in the funding space, we have to make sure that what we are doing is visible, what we're doing is understandable, because without us achieving these two objectives, we are leaving ourselves open to interpretation, right? And now anyone with a camera, anyone with a blog can just write anything and it will be indexed and it becomes the truth. So it means that we have to control the narrative. We have to showcase what we have done, what we are doing, the impact of it beyond internal documentation and bureaucracy, to actually tell the world, so that at least we have that indexing inside the chatbots, in search, traditional search, and we become part of the conversation on a daily basis. So you find that AI is already your communications department, right? Whether you like it or not. You can search for yourself right now. You will find that there's an opinion about your organization in some form or not, right? Some, it's maybe because you have shared things online and you have actually ring-fenced what people are saying about you, what people know about you. But then if you haven't really done it, then that means that it's open to interpretation of either malicious people or good people or the AIs themselves. They have an opinion on what you are doing. So it means that the meeting is already going on online, and you just have to be there and chair the meeting when it comes to your brand, because it's no longer enough to have offline only events or offline only presence, but to have online, and not just online, but inside the LLMs. You need to have a presence. That's why now you find that there is something called search engine optimization, which has been traditional, but then now you need something called answer engine optimization, so that when people are asking, you come out in the overviews, right? And then there's something called GEO as well, generative engine optimization as well. So you need to be able to optimize for all that. And you don't have to radically change your modus operandi, but you have to be intentional about making sure that you are heard and what you are doing is documented correctly. Right. So you find that on a daily basis, machines are answering questions about your foundation. That is the search engines, the chatbots, the social algorithms. So it's no longer whether AI tells your story or not. It's about which version is being told about you. Right. So an uncomfortable truth, because I've been in the NPO space for a while, and I remember winning some funding from Treasury, right? And I remember after winning, it was the Jobs Fund actually, and we said to ourselves, you know what? Why did we win this thing? Because the burden of documentation was so onerous that it literally took 70-80% of our activities towards documentation. Literally, it was hectic. And by nature of how evidence gathering, impact M&E, and all the value chain activities of nonprofits, it has become so documentation heavy, right? Where you've got annual reports, M&E frameworks, grantee stories, and, right? It's so much, yes, it's necessary, right? We cannot run away from that fact. But how can we do it in such a way that is efficient and achieves the goals that we want to? So instead of us drowning in documentation, we can augment with technology and make sure that we achieve our objectives without compromising on the rigor, without compromising on the efficacy of what we are doing. So, but you'll find that the majority of nonprofits are very internally focused. They are internally looking, so much that by the time they finish the documentation and everything needed, they don't have enough power or energy to actually go out there and sell to the world what it is that they've done, right? In terms of impact. Because your story, you never know what your story is going to do when someone else sees it. It's going to inspire maybe the next generation of change activists, right? So that is important. So we need to solve the problem of being underhead, where there's thin public narrative, or our messaging is maybe too formalized because we are serious organizations. So we have to put in LinkedIn posts. We cannot be seen on TikTok or Instagram. Or even when we go to Instagram and TikTok, we still sound like LinkedIn. We are not a fun brand. We are not communicating in the language that the natives of these platforms actually speak. So that means that we are losing people that could have been inspired by our work and everything else. And then you find that in terms of pipeline and collaboration, whether it's from a beneficiary perspective or co-funders or even regulators, we need to be able to communicate to all those stakeholders in the spectrum, but to communicate appropriately with them in the public platforms that are available to us. And we need to be cognizant of the fact that we're not just writing for human beings. We're writing for human beings. We're also writing for the algorithms together. So that is something that we need to be cognizant of. So you find that when we are silent, the story gets told anyway, like I said before, but through someone else's perspective. So African stories are generated, right? So you find that some of us, we are not using technology like AI to be able to extract the learnings and insights from our presence online in the various platforms that we already exist. So what's happening is that we're telling our stories, and then they are harvested, because by you virtually being on these platforms, the platforms can harvest your information, right? And then it's packaged without context or dignity, and it's sold back to us as insight. So we are buying our own stories. So my question is, how are you getting insight from your activity such that you don't have to buy your own knowledge from someone else that is packaged as insight? So that is something that we need to use technology to fix. And we have context, because that field worker on the ground is the one who understands the nuances of what was happening, and no algorithm can do that. No external party can fully understand what the field worker knows. So how are we codifying that information and making sure that we can actually give those insights at scale from first-hand stakeholders? So that's important. So communication, like Larry said, is a relationship, not a broadcast. So the days of radio and TV where it was one way and there was no interaction are over. We have to be able to co-create value. We have to be able to co-create communication with our beneficiaries, our stakeholders. And in the academic circles, they have a theory called the service dominant logic, SDL. And the service dominant logic actually says that value is co-created. Because for you to actually say Claude or ChatGPT is good, it's not because ChatGPT just did everything and you were sitting doing nothing. You are prompting, you are correcting it. So you are co-creating with Claude. You were the pilot, and Claude was your companion, literally your co-pilot. You were piloting together, coming to a certain destination. So we also have to make sure that even when we're coming up with interventions, we shouldn't have a top-down scenario where, because I'm the foundation, I have the grant money, the funding, therefore I shall dictate what problem needs to be solved. But it's got to be co-created with the partners and the beneficiaries and everyone. And it's easy to do nowadays because of AI and other technologies that are there. So this is a tongue twister for me, being Shona and all. It says Umuntu Gumuntu Gabantu, right? Okay, I had to practice this actually, right? So I had to practice this because we talk about Ubuntu. In Shona, we call it Hunu, Hunhu. So Hunu is Ubuntu, right? And it's the thing that binds us together, right? It's that which is the essence of who we are. We've correctly characterized it, but now we need to take it into the boardroom. We need to take it into our activities, because we don't want a situation where we talk about Ubuntu outside the office, and then when we come into the foundation, now Ubuntu is something else. We are corporate, we are, that kind of thing. So we have to make sure that this Ubuntu is embedded and encoded in everything we do. So a fund that does not communicate at audiences, like I said, it's not a one-sided marketplace, but it's a relationship with your audience. It's a relationship with all the stakeholders. So it's not about using AI to scale one-sided communication. It's about using AI to better deepen the relationship with the stakeholders. So it's not about just let's put out 100 blog posts. Yes, you can. You can do that. Put out a blog post every minute. You can do that. But what's the point if it doesn't resonate with the audience, with the stakeholders that you're supposed to be communicating with? So two ways funders get this wrong. So you find that there are these two extremes. It's a spectrum, right? Where there's the silent funder, right? Where they're humble, so humility becomes invisibility. No public voice means no legitimacy, no partners, no policy influence. Yes, they're doing stuff, but no one knows about it, right? And that means that they're not necessarily sharing their best practices, they're not sharing their learnings, they're not sharing their impact because they are quiet. And I understand the silent funder because society has actually put a pedestal on people that donate anonymously, because that is, on a morality standing, that is more moral than somebody who donates and makes noise about it. Okay, we are encoded that way, most of us. Me too. Whenever I hear of an anonymous donor, I'm like, ooh, yeah, they're going to heaven, right? As opposed to someone who makes noise. But now you find on the other end, we have the extractive funder, right? Who is going to churn out those blog posts, 100 blog posts, praising themselves about what they've done, and they are literally extracting from every stakeholder, and it's all about them, right? It's all about them. It's all about them. I remember reading about this story where literally stakeholders were fighting for attribution to say who is responsible for this successful guy who has graduated. Was it the ECD? Was the interventions done at ECD or in primary school and high school? Or was it maybe the social worker who went, so you can't be fighting about attribution, right? But collectively, as different stakeholders, we can have a composite effect and impact. And if we are all reporting about it, we are all out there and talking about it, then you'll find that we can actually impact the world. But I know in the funding world, everybody's giving each other elbows. No one wants to share because the funding pool might be small, so we're all fighting for the same money. So we're all fighting for attribution and stuff like that, which is something that we can find common ground, right, between the silent funder and the extractive funder. Somewhere in the middle there's a sweet spot somewhere, whether it's leaning towards silent funder or extract, wherever, but there is some middle ground that we can use, first of all, as a philosophy, and secondly, to be able to pool even technology, to be able to share how we're using AI in what tools we're using, what prompts we're using, and stuff like that, to be able to achieve this together. So that's important, as long as the visibility indemnifies the dignity of the beneficiaries and other stakeholders, then that is fine. Unlike this thing of, I know so many pastors who go, African pastors, right, who go to the US with kids' faces that have snot on them, that look dirty, so that at least they can emotionally blackmail people to fund them, right? I don't think that's dignified, you know. So we have to make sure that our beneficiaries are dignified, right? So what has AI actually changed, right? So I'll go back to Web 2.0. In Web 2.0, you find that there's a statement by this American economist called Jeremy Rifkin. He spoke about how Web 2.0 reduced the marginal costs of acquiring information, because it was very expensive to acquire information. You had to walk to a place called a library and wait in line maybe 7 days or so to wait for the other person to return the book before you could have it, and you could only have it for a certain time. But Web 2.0 brought the library into our pockets. So that means that access to information became very cheap and ubiquitous. Then AI now has taken us a step further to say, okay, fine, you can get information, you can get graphs, you can get analysis and all that, right? But now we have something that can actually reason to a certain extent. It can act, because you find with agentic AI, you can actually give it tasks to do, right? It can act, it can synthesize, it can generate, it is a form of judgment, which is unreliable, but it can judge because it's got an opinion on things, right? So that's important. So you find that now we are faced with something that we've never been faced with, where something is mimicking what makes us human, or what we have thought made us human, because we thought the ability to think, intelligence, was just a human domain. But now it's being challenged. So now we're panicking, right? And then we're also suffering from something called an ELIZA effect. So ELIZA was a chatbot that was created by a psychologist in 1966, where all it did was that if you put in a prompt, it would just take your prompt and repeat back to you what you have said, but sounding like a smart person, right? So there's something called the ELIZA effect, where people became addicted to ELIZA, and they would use it for hours on end, and they gave it I think that's called anthropomorphism. Okay, that's a big word, right? Where you assign a human character to a machine, right? So some even gave it names, some fell in love with ELIZA, but ELIZA was not smart at all. So this ELIZA effect is also affecting us right now, where we are faced with this thing that sounds intelligent, looks like it's one of us without a body, right? And we are now abdicating our thinking and giving it everything so that it can think on our behalf, but there are things that it will never, ever be able to do, right? Those things that are fuzzy, those things that are between the lines, those things that are nuanced, those things that need ethics and the internal things, right? Katie is sitting across from me right now, and I can feel Katie, I can feel her energy. If Katie was grumpy, right now I wouldn't be talking to you the way I am because it's going to affect me, right? And that thing is not written anyway. It's as human as it comes. So that means that those kind of things, we still have them, but we need to make sure that however AI progresses, we have a say in how it progresses. Because one, we've got wallets as foundations, right? We've got agency, and we've got the willpower to be able to have responsible AI. So that is important. So now, looking into the 4D framework that Anthropic gave us, we're going to look at 4Ds, right? 4D framework, Ds, right? The first D is delegation. Now, you find with delegation, what is it? We're asking ourselves the question, in our foundation, what is it that we need to hand over to AI and we need to keep human, right? And you can only fully do it if you actually understand what it is that you do in the foundation. So a good way to start the delegation story is to have a process map across the whole foundation such that you can actually see where the bottlenecks are, what is automatable, what is not. If we put human in the loop, is the human going to become a bottleneck? Should we, those kind of things. So for you to be able to have delegation, you actually need to have a process map and understand all the workflows and how things are related, right? All the entities within the foundation, you have to understand them. Then the second thing is description. You'll find that a lot of people are using AI, but they don't know how to speak to AI, right? How do we brief AI so it speaks with our voice and our context and we don't leave anything to chance? So the description element is very, very important. I'll get into more detail with that. Then the third thing is the discernment, right? This is where the human, right? The human in you should ask, okay, fine, I've got all this information from Claude or ChatGPT, but how do I know that this is reliable, this is true? How do I know that this is a good result? Of which you find that these foundational models, they're coming up with benchmarks every day, right? But those benchmarks are made up. They're made up for funding purposes, by the way, because you find that today Grok is the best at math, and tomorrow it's Kimi, tomorrow it's Claude, but those things, they're industry benchmarks that are made up, but we have to make sure that we bring back humanity, humanness. So we have to have our own way of discerning what the truth is. Then the last thing is diligence. Diligence, this is where now a lot of companies and a lot of organizations have been found wanting, where things like privacy, consent, ethics, disclosure, and. If you've used AI, don't lie that I didn't use AI. Just disclose that, okay, when we're doing the analysis, we used AI, but AI didn't make the decisions. We made the decisions, and we were piloting and co-piloting with the AI. That is acceptable. But then the moment you lie that, no, we crafted this thing on our own, then that's a problem, because ethically, that is not acceptable. And we know a very good example of the effects of not disclosing when you've used AI. For example, our own AI policy as a nation had to be taken down because they had fictitious sources, right? And that was a solvable problem, because I don't think there was any problem using AI for the AI policy, but then the fact that there was that negligence of leaving unchecked things, it brings everything into question. You might get 99% of the things correct, but if only one thing is wrong, then it nullifies everything. So the AI policy is a good example of what not to do. So delegation, I looked into this a little bit. So this is where now you can have tracks, right? To say, okay, let's have green. Green is those things in our workflows, in our process map, where we can actually let AI just run with it. It's automated. The agents are autonomous. We don't need a human being because it's codified, it's rational, it's logical. There's no fuzzy decision that has to be made. That's the green one is AI only. Then you can have maybe amber or yellow, where the AI can do stuff, and then you have a human reviewer, right? And then the third one, right, red. Red is a no-go area where you're saying that this is purely human. I don't want to see any AI on this part of the workflow. So you can color code and have those traffic light inspired segments, right? And be able to fully understand what it is that you need to automate and what it is that you need to keep human. So that's delegation, right? That's important. Delegate the typing, but never the deciding, right? So that's just a tongue-in-cheek, nice little statement right there. Then the description. You find that AIs, right? Large language models especially, you have to be explicit. You have to tell them what you want, what you don't want, how you want it. You have to be as precise as possible because the LLM, like I said, does not reason, does not understand causality. It's just doing pattern matching. So that means that even if your prompt is going to get as big as 3 pages, it's fine. But as long as you have come up with exactly what you want, then you find that a lot of organizations are also missing something very crucial, because everyone in the foundation is prompting. Everyone might be prompting correctly, but then if you don't have a constitution for the foundation, that means that there are no boundaries as to what someone can prompt. So you need something on the hierarchy called a system prompt. Now, the system prompt is the one that governs everything that happens in your corporate large language model. So a system prompt, like right now, if OpenAI changed their system prompt and said that now we cannot talk about football, go into ChatGPT and try talk about football. You will not be able to, no matter how good your prompt is, because it has been governed from the top. So that is something that we need, a system prompt. That's the constitution, right? It's the same hierarchy as the South African law, where the constitution sits at the top, and then you can have your sector rules and what, but everything has to be subservient to the constitution. So every organization needs a system prompt. And that system prompt is the one that sets the global guardrails in the foundation, and then be able to prompt now within that. People should not be able to go out of your system prompt. So that is important, right? So that is description. We should be able to talk to these large language models in the most efficient and most productive way, not being vague, right? Then discernment, this is where the humanness came in to say, we're asking things to say, okay, fine, we've come up with this AI image or AI video, but now I've taken Tabang's face and put it on Kate's body. Is that ethical? Is that ethical? You know, yes, it's funny. yes, it might drive the message home, it might achieve the objective, but is it ethical? What does it mean for Tabang? What does it mean for Katie? You know? So we have to ask ourselves those questions. Does it leave dignity for our beneficiaries? Is it like us, who we are? I see Vuispo is there. Are we as OMT? Is this us, you know? Or now we are sounding more like SAB Foundation, right? So we don't want to sound like SAB Foundation. We want to sound like what? Like OMT. So that is the thing, that we have to sound like us. And for us to achieve that, we have to set the context. We have to set the guardrails. We have to set and tell it who we are. Because at the end of the day, if we don't do that, we're all going to sound the same. And unfortunately, sameness is the worst thing that can happen, because variety is the spice of life. As those of you who've done a little bit of statistics, you know that the most important concept in statistics is actually variance. Because without variance, there's no statistics. Imagine all of us were told dark and handsome. Would we have the word handsome? Because we're all the same, right? So if we're all told dark and handsome, that means that there is no standard deviation, there's no average to calculate, because we are all the same. So the essence of our being lies in our difference. The fact that we're a rainbow nation with 11, 12 languages, right, plus Shona unofficially, right? So it means that we should actually harness and make use of that variety, right? And be able to get the richness from the difference that we have. Otherwise, we're going to be all bland. So if organizations, if you as a foundation don't become unique, you're not doing all of us a favor, because we're all going to sound the same and look the same, tall, dark, and handsome, right? So, and then also now, truth, right? Truth is now tough to discern. Truth is something that is blurry now. There's so many videos I've seen, and I'm asking myself, is this AI? Is this not? And it's now tough to actually tell what it is, right? So we have to have our own mechanisms in our spheres of influence to be able to contribute to the truth pool of the world. Because if we all contribute to the truth pool, then it means that we can counter misinformation. Those foundations that are on the call today that are working with elections, I want to say good luck this year, because there are elections in November. The misinformation, the caricature of individuals and organizations is going to be rife. It's already started, actually. So we need to be able to use our resources and our capabilities to be able to fight misinformation. Because I think this is the first election in South Africa when AI has really gone everywhere, and people have learned to do videos and images and text and all that. So we need to find a common voice that speaks to those who are truth seekers, right? Then diligence. Okay, this diligence, I know most foundations, you're really good at this. You know how to calculate your BEE points. You know how to give those Section 18 certificates and stuff like that. So that we need to adhere. When you're in Rome, do what the Romans do. If the Roman constitution says jump, then you jump, right? And that is important. And then obviously, there are some gray areas. That's where now your Ubuntu comes in. That's where your ethics, your embedded ethics come in as a foundation to be able to know that, yes, in as much as we can push the boundary within the limits of the law, but this is doesn't leave our beneficiaries as dignified entities. So that's important. Right. So now, this is something you can do on a Monday morning, right? Okay, so this, I put it in before I actually built the tool, where I was going to say, okay, so now go in, ask ChatGPT some questions, and then write your voice brief, and then pick one pilot, right? But instead of me giving you a supermarket or a list of a catalog of AI tools, because I know that in most organizations you already have your ChatGPTs, your Claudes, your Microsoft Copilots and stuff like that. You already have tools. But what's important is the fluency, like I said, knowing how to use the tool regardless of which one, because they're being commoditized. So you find that the difference between these tools is going to be very marginal. It doesn't matter which tool you're using, right? Whether you're driving a BMW or an Omoda, you're driving, right? You're getting to the place. But if you don't have a driver's license, you'll be a hazard for everyone else on the road. So let us not be hazards. Let us be AI fluent, right? So AI fluency, like I mentioned, I'm not going to dwell much on this because I want to jump onto the practical side of things. I think I took a longer time than expected explaining this. So now I'm going to switch views and I'm going to go to Katie. Do you mind just sharing the link with everyone?
It's now, yeah, while Katie is doing that, can we just see if there are any questions for you?
Yes.
Just explain what you want us to do after this. But I think if there are any questions, let's just quickly see if we can catch up with that.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, Fia. Any questions?
Okay, so everybody are with us? And if you have questions coming up for you while we are doing this more practical part, please put them in the chat for us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Itzai. That was fascinating up to now.
So basically what I've just been doing was just setting the scene. So at least we understand, especially the importance of fluency for us to be able to effectively use these tools and be able to meaningfully contribute and direct the fate of AI tools, right? So what I've done, I've used AI to build this platform. And I said to myself, okay, this presentation that I have, I want to turn it into an actual course that I can give certificates to the attendants to say, thank you very much for understanding what I'm doing, but I'm not going to measure understanding by attendance. I'm going to understand that you understood what I'm doing by you actually completing a course and getting a certificate and becoming an AI fluent philanthropy practitioner, right? So disclaimer, this is not accredited with any CITA or anything like that. It's something for your own edification that we created for AI fluency. So basically, I'm going to sign in. You can also just sign in. This was just, I put the sign in just to avoid unwanted people joining our little party, right? So we have 7 modules that you can try, right? You can do. So you've got the experiment, the one I was talking about, where it's the baseline, where you're saying, okay, AI is not neutral. What it doesn't know about South African philanthropy is already shaping how the world hears your work, right? So like this question now says, who funds social change in South Africa? Like the one I asked before. So here I'm using Gemini in the background. That's the one I'm using. So I get a response. It says social change in South Africa is funded by a diverse mix of international donors, local CSI, and. So if you read that, you can now add your reflection to say, okay, I agree, or it could have been better said than this, or it could have, so you can actually say what is missing, whose voice has been ignored, whose voice is being amplified. What is it that this AI can actually say better that truly represents who we are as IPASA, as foundations, So that's something you can do. So I'm not going to be waiting step by step. I'm just going to cruise through so that at least you can see what's there. And then with delegation now, you'll find that, okay, some of you might not be, most of you will not be able to see this because you have to finish the first one for you to see the second one. It's locked for you, right? So with delegation, now we're asking, what do we give AI? What do we do with AI? Or what do we keep human, right? So decide whose story appears on the cover. So this is time, 10 seconds. Translate a story. Okay, translation, hand to AI. Oh, it's correct, right? Hold the consent conversation with a grantee. Hand to AI, not quite, right? Take convening notes into file. Okay, I'm just going to say hand to AI. That's correct. You know, that kind of thing. So you can play around with this. It's timed. Every response should be within 10 seconds. And you play your 10 cards, and then you can continue. So this is a delegation game. Then description. This is where now you are prompting, actually, right? To say, using the voice of your foundation or the voice of who you represent, how can you communicate with the AI more effectively? So this is the description element, right? And then we go to the discernment, where literally you're checking for flaws, you're checking for correctness, truthness, and stuff like that, where now you're using your judgment. And then diligence, this is the ethics stuff now, right? Where you want to summarize a grantee reports into the board memo. The reports contained named individuals and their circumstances. Now already that's Popia there, right? Because there's privately, what's this personally identifiable information? So that means that you can't just throw that into ChatGPT. Otherwise, you are throwing them into the den of sharks where ChatGPT can just use their information. So as long as you don't have a ring-fenced entity where you know that you can use PII, don't, right? There's some sensitive information that you cannot put in Claude, that you cannot put in ChatGPT or any of those public-facing platforms. So that's important. And then you've got the voice brief builder. Now here you're building a brief, right? Where we are called Sizwe Fund, and our focus is this. These are our core values. Our beneficiaries are this. We want to send this to the grantees. And then what's our tone? What's our, are we brash? Are we warm? Are we evidence-led? What are we? And then you generate the voice brief. And from there, then you'll be able to do the final assessment. Once you do the final assessment, you'll be able to get a certificate, right? You see, I got mine here. You can see it here. So that's my certificate. So you can get the same certificate if you complete that. But that you can do at your own time. I'll check with Katie how long we can give access for, because it's made specifically for this cohort, for this event. So we can always talk to Katie and find out and Fia to say how long can we keep it open for. Then I'm an advocate of games, right? Games, people learn more when they play games. So there are a few games that we've created here that you can play, and you see this, is this a trend? Is this hype? You know, and you see that AI will replace program officers within 3 years. Is that true? Is that a trend, or it's just hype? Are there any program officers on the call who can tell us whether this is a trend or a hype? Anyone? Anyone? You can just switch on your mic and let's hear. Or do you think AI will replace program officers?
No.
No.
Why? Why?
Because they are relationship builders and you can't really replace that with AI.
But I've got a relationship with my ChatGPT. Are you sure? Argue for humanity, please, Danielle. I want to hear your argument.
Yeah, I think that the one skill that AI will never be able to really take is relationship management and coordination with funders and grantees and partners. I think that's for some reason it feels like the one skill that will, or one skill or one attribute to the space that will never be able to be replaced. I don't know why, it's just a feeling.
Is there? Okay, but you know, I was reading a story recently about the influx of AI boyfriends and girlfriends, especially in Japan. They people are in love with their AIs. They literally are not doing human relations anymore. They are in love with their AIs. Isn't that a relationship? This is me, by the way, putting my debating hat on. Yes.
No, I get that. I get that. My counter argument would be that there's too many like nuances, like human nuances to relationships in the space that just wouldn't translate to like a meaningful impact for
Mm,
I don't know, for partners.
mm,
I mean, maybe one day, but not in the next 3 years.
mm. Nice. No, thanks, Danielle. Sorry for putting you on the spot, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. So, also, that's in our thinking about AI, we actually have to be very open-minded to think about what is possible or that which seems impossible, and be able to come up with plans, scenario plans for even the most ridiculous scenario, right? So, because what I've realized is sometimes when it comes to relationship, it's about how the other entity, whether human or not, makes you feel. Because some of the best songs I'm listening to on YouTube right now, they're AI generated. I know they're AI generated, but they make me cry. So they're achieving the objective of music, which is resonance, which is crying and all that. When I see some of those images made by AI, I know it's AI, but they're beautiful. So as human beings, are we outcomes based? And does that translate to the foundation as a corporate, as an organization to say, if the outcome is achieved, then it justifies the means, right? That means that the channel does not matter as long as I get my happiness, if it's something that you actually get. I don't know. This is a question that is open to anyone to answer. Anyone who would like to contribute to this debate? Anyone? Anyone? Yo, as a teacher, if no one answered, I would choose people to, especially the ones I know. But I'm just going to say Fia, since Fia,
Yeah,
I'm picking on you. Yes, what's
I'm
your
coming on
opinion?
because I want to ask another question. It's about
Okay.
how do we keep this real? And also that balance between doing really difficult work and almost the temptation of going for things that look simple and easy. That balance. And yeah, if I've dealt with that, then there's another thing that I want to ask, but I think maybe we can discuss quite quickly about, how to keep things real in a very complex world.
Yes. So, no, thank you. But although, can I ask a clarifying question? You mentioned difficult work. What do you mean by difficult work? Just for my own understanding.
There's a lot of nuance in the work of funders, and some of it can take a very long time. But there's also pressures. So there's a lot of things to balance, and it might be a temptation to use AI to just do things quickly. I mean, your question about will the AI replace a program officer? So it's just difficult work, and we might be deceived to think we can do certain things with AI. while we actually can't. But we also have to make sure that we do use AI for the things we can use it for.
Nice, nice. So, no, thank you very much. So you find that the psychologists in the room would be able to explain this better, but cognitive offloading has become a problem, right? Where if it looks difficult, let me just delegate it to what? To the AI, and then I get something that is coherent, even if it's not as nuanced as it's supposed to be. So that is something that is inherently human in a way, because you find that all the technology, every advancement that we've come up with has been to find an easier way of doing things. That's why now, back in the days, do you know that people back in the days used to walk and switch on and switch off the TV? Now we sit with remote controls, right? So that is an example of making something that is difficult easier. And that's the trajectory that we've taken as human beings since the Stone Age. So that is something that we actually have to fight. It's almost like fighting our very own nature of convenience, right? And it's difficult. So, but if you've got ethos, that's where the diligence comes in. If you've got ethos, and if compliance and stuff like that dictates that you need to do it this way, one, that's a good deterrent. And also now just your principles and values, that should actually guide you as well in terms of what it is that you can do and can't do. So that's important. Then I saw someone on the chat asked in terms of what's my answer towards the program officer question. So for me, I'm a proponent of dismantling the org structure, right? And looking at it to say, what is it that we actually need? Looking at it from a fresh perspective, because program officer is something that someone somewhere came up with because of the constraints that were available at the time. But some of those constraints are no longer there, right? So you find, if I give an example of where I'm most comfortable, if you look at the software development sector, you find that product managers were there to just get and design the project, then they would give to developers, then they would give to quality controllers and all that. But nowadays, those boundaries have been suppressed. Now, one person can actually do the value chain across. So that means that we shouldn't restrict ourselves to things that were designed pre-AI. We should actually say, let's put on our AI hat on, and let's rethink what an organization is, right? And are we going to rethink in terms of workflow, the functions, or are we going to have a whole different structure altogether? Because if you see a lot of companies right now, like in Silicon Valley, for example, if I may say, you find that they're all trying to mimic what Palantir did. So Palantir has got something called forward deployed engineers who understand business, who are technical, and who can test and support. So it means that they can do across the whole value chain. So that means that you don't need specialization. So that means we have to rethink the org from first principles. Gary, I see you've got a question. Gary?
Gary,
Hello.
You're muted.
Sorry, everything was switched off then.
Sure.
It's fantastic. Thank you for the wonderful discussion and for the thought-provoking perspectives you've given us. I'd like to say, as a foundation, we love AI. We've been using it since it's come out. But to go back to your point and what Danielle said to you, I agree with Danielle. And Danielle, I don't think it's going to, even in 3 years, AI will be able to have any empathy or emotional element. You know, humanity keeps inventing technology. But if you look around at the world at us, we're in a bigger mess than ever.
True.
It's not about technology. It's about each one of us and how we use it. So in our organization, I'm proud to say we've done so much of what you've talked about because we're retaining the essence of who each one of us are.
That's it.
We're using AI as extensions of ourselves because it gives you unbelievable capacities.
That's it.
But you have to retain who you are as a human being and the sense and sensibility and consciousness of a human being. And so
Yes.
I don't see AI ever replacing humanity, what humanity can do. If we use it wisely and with consciousness,
That's
it
it.
becomes an unbelievable tool for all of us.
That's it. Yes, no,
Thanks.
I totally agree. Any relations to Alan Shearer, by the way?
Yeah, he's my cousin.
Ah, nice.
No,
Ah,
not
that's
really,
good.
not really.
Nice.
Tabang
Thank you,
asked me the
Gary.
same question when we first met.
Nice. No, thanks, Gary.
Thanks
Yeah,
for the
no,
great
so-
discussion.
So you find that just piggybacking on what Gary said, you find that a lot of organizations that had thought they were going to automate everything, they're actually realizing that one, the tokens are more expensive than human labor, and they're finding that there's what is known as distribution drift, right? Model drift, where in a model, when you come up with it, it's good, but then 2 months down the line, it degrades, right? So the quality is actually really bad. So some of them are rehiring their people back, and some are even hiring more people than they had before AI. But the type of person they are hiring is different. So that means that there is a shift in demand. You can't be hired for low-level work that is mind-numbing, that a computer can do better than you. But you have to have certain value. You have to be able to operate within the AI context. So you find that economists now are changing their story. They're saying we might actually see more hiring through AI, but the skill set is different. So the key is how can we unlearn and relearn for the new world? That's why AI fluency is important. Yes, Katie, please go ahead. Yes. Let's see. Can you
Katie,
hear Katie from there?
Katie, you still muted?
Okay, Katie, I'm gonna do this. Just speak.
I'm back on. Okay, my question is, Itza, if you could explain the relevance of the tools. Who's on? I'm echoing. Sorry. Maybe
It's yours.
it's my own one.
Just put it on mute.
We can hear you.
No.
Okay.
Now you muted again, Katie.
No, not on mute. On silent, as in volume. Your volume, just put it on.
I'm just going to put my question in the chat box.
Okay, she's putting
what,
the
Katie?
question in the
Maybe
chat.
just
It's why she's
mute,
doing
mute and come and
that.
ask from here. How's that? Yeah.
The question is there, Fia. The question is there.
Okay.
Okay.
The question is,
Okay.
can you explain the relevance of these AI tools and the ability to frame your own voice, specifically for marketing and communications persons in foundations?
Oh, thank you very much. So you find that this I can speak with my eyes closed, literally, right in my sleep, because these are the things that we're actually working with the Nahana group around, where we're building tools, marketing tools, PR, comms, and stuff like that. So the most important thing, one, is the brand voice, to be able to make sure that it's consistent. And then secondly, it's the grounding, where you have your modus operandi, you have your truths that you have your ethics, you have everything, regulation, and then you use that as context. So some people have spoken about what is known as context engineering, right? So make sure that you ground it in some truth, right? And you can even say, I don't want it to go to the internet and get polluted by other sources. I just want it to use our documentation because we are a 100-year-old entity that is so much information. This is what we want. Or you can actually say, okay, this is our ground truth, but I can enrich it with sources that are coming from different places, trusted trusted entities. So what, like I said, the first thing is to make sure that you map the process end to end, whether you're building a brief builder, whether you're building for production of multimodal elements like audio or even ads and stuff like that, video and image and all that, right? For different platforms. So you have to map all those different workflows and see what it is that you can actually automate, what it is that you keep human, and where you need human review. That's important. That's super, super, super important. But if you don't know the process of how you get there, you will come up with the wrong thing. That's why the expert is always going to be needed. Because yes, I can come up as an outsider, I can come up with a marketing workflow, but if I've never worked on a real marketing campaign, I'm telling you, I'm going to miss a lot of things that are really nuanced, that a real marketer, when they look at it, they're like, oh, this is slop, right? So that's important. Then in terms of the ground truth, there's something called RAG, that is Retrieval Augmented Generation. That's where now you put in your documents, right? That's how you achieve context engineering. And then you need to be putting this in a platform that you control in terms of guardrails, in terms of making sure that your trade secrets don't spill out into the open internet. And yeah, so it's important. And then one other thing as well is that back in the days, marketers used to do think on a campaign level, but now they can actually think in a holistic manner where it's not just one campaign, but all the campaigns are linked and they are feeding to the same source of truth and intelligence. So it's very intelligence driven. Okay, I see another hand up, Natalie. I hope I answered you, Katie. Sure.
Oh, yes, thank you very much. And thank you for the insightful conversations and loving all the questions. I think in our organization, it has been very interesting working with AI, very much based on privacy, on risk, information, POPI Act, etc. So I think that's one of our biggest challenges is how do we prompt with regards to not giving too much information away. So it's not using names, which becomes quite challenging because then you're not actually getting the full momentum of AI in pulling streams. And then obviously fact checking, which is really important. I think everything that I have done on AI, I've had to fact check. And I would say at least 80% actually came back to say that it's not 100% correct. So I think in that respect, I mean, how does one as an NGO and, go about something like that, where that is a major concern within the organization? Automation, becomes a challenge as well because it's now reading your emails and that's privacy. So we have a very sticky rule that we're not allowed to do anything like that. Do you have any advice for something like that? So I guess my answer is just a hype to your question. Because we're still sitting quite far back. But if you have any advice, that would be amazing.
Yeah, no, thank you. So I think the fundamental thing there is that before anything, get an entity where it's ring-fenced away from the internet. So you find you don't have to create your own. Your Microsoft Copilots, they have enterprise editions. Okay, there's a cost implication though. Or even open source models. Those Chinese ones, they're quite good because the good part is you can actually host them locally on your devices, and you won't have to share with anyone. You can use it locally without any spillage into the greater network. So having a platform where you can work and be able to use it freely, you don't have to redact names or anything like that. That is fundamental, right? And most of the big foundation models, they give those maybe on the business plans, enterprise pro plans and all that. So just check to see which one allows for that and be able to use it. Of which, if I know most corporate organizations are already on, like on the Microsoft stack, for example, there is an enterprise version where you can literally be free to do as much as you want. Yes. But otherwise, you're on a good journey, and wish you all the best, Natalie. Yes. Well, who else is there? Is it Louise?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm just concerned we've reached 12:30.
Oh, nice.
And I
No
know
problem.
some people may need to drop off.
Nice.
If people still have questions, you can pop them into the chat and we can quickly address them now, or we can hopefully via Debang and Katie get you to answer some of them. But thank you all for attending, and thanks so much. And it really was, very interesting to hear from your experience and expertise. And I'm sure we've just touched the very tip of the discussions. And so on that note, as you know, the members, you've all received these communications around the series. So we will have our next workshop next month. So, but we will be communicating further details to you in our member updates. So,
Sure.
but thank you so much, and thanks
Thank
for all
you.
attending. And yes, please just do give us feedback after the meeting. I see there's a couple of questions from Danielle about which model is best, so, but maybe I do know that we've got to drop off, people have to drop off, so maybe we can just send those questions through and get those answered. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Zai. Thanks,
Okay
everyone. That was
then.
Thanks,
amazing.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.